Yo, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC video. I'm your host, Jose Rocks, and today is the start of Season 2 for Regulation D. So with that being said, we're going to be doing a review / ranking of all the usable Pokemon that are in Regulation D. And this is the usable ones, not the viable ones. I'm going to do a separate tier list for the viable ones before World starts, but I just wanted to go ahead and do a ranking of the usable ones, just everything that's usable pretty much, which is the fully evolved Pokemon that are in the format. And this is going to be based off some of my gameplay and the results of Season 1. So with that being said, y'all ready? Let's get into it. So we are going to be breaking down our list. So for starters, we have the S tier, right? And this is a new list, a kind of format. I actually want to do this format going forward for all my ranking videos because I kind of like, the way I worded it, and I want to keep it for this one. So starting with S. So S is going to be the must-have answers to / busted. So these are pretty much the best Pokemon in the format. The meta game is pretty much going to revolve around them. Everything that you're going to do is going to revolve around building around these teams or countering Pokemon that have these countering teams that have these Pokemon on them. So for the A tier, this is going to be pretty much good on every team, a winner. So these are the Pokemon that if you put them on your team, they're going to do good. They're proven to be winners. They're proven to win and help you win games. They're not as good as the S tier, but they're just exactly that tier below. They're good on every team. They do have counterplay. They're not completely busted, but they are proven to be winners, right? Then we have our B tier, which are going to be Pokemon that have a specific role, that they play their role really well on those specific teams, right? So the Pokemon in this form, are going to be like a lot of the support Pokemon that are not S or A tier, and that if you put them on their team, as long as you're not trying to do something outside of what they're supposed to be doing, like reinvent the wheel, then they're going to be really reliable, right? And then we have our next tier, which is the C tier, and these are the Pokemon that fit on one type of team. So these are the ones that pretty much, if they only work on one type of team, if you put them on any other team, then they're just going to be a bad Pokemon, right? But if they're on the right team, then they're able to like function well and win. And I'm going to give you guys some examples of those as we go through our list. Our next tier is going to be the D tier. So this is going to be decent. So decent, but something else does its job better. A wannabe. So that's pretty much one of these Pokemon are going to be like, let's say we have S tier, A tier Pokemon. It's a D tier Pokemon that's similar to these, but why would you use the D tier over the S or A tier Pokemon, right? So it kind of like its job is kind of taken, and it has to go somewhere and find a new job because, we've already had these slots filled. And then we're going to have our F tier. So F tier is going to be, if you want to win, don't use this, pretty much garbage. These Pokemon are really not good. You can't even make like a fun set or something or niche, which, you can win with any Pokemon if you build a team around that specific Pokemon or give it a role. But you're going to really have to go out of your way to use these. And most of the time, you're going to be taking a lot of losses to make these Pokemon work before you're able to get a win with them, right? So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into our list. So we are going to start with Charizard. So Charizard is going to go in the C tier for me. So Charizard is one of those Pokemon where in Sword and Shield, and I don't want to really go too much into Sword and Shield because this video is going to take a lot longer if I do that, plus like go through like some of the stats and movesets. So we're kind of going to be doing a speed run so we don't take up all of your time. In my next video that I'm going to be doing, that's going to be based around the viable Pokemon, I may do some movesets and some tournament results with those Pokemon. But for this one, when we're going to be using all of the usable Pokemon, we're just going to speed run through it, right? So Charizard is Choice Scarf set is only going to really be used in the sun. So that's why it fits in the C tier. It has fallen from grace, but it's still a decent Pokemon. Like, it's better than D tier because of if it's on a sun team and you don't have answers to it, it really can't sweep you with those solar power heat waves. Raichu, also C tier for me. If Eleki was Eleki of old, the Eleki of Sword and Shield, and it was just on everybody's team and was beating everybody down with electro webs and powerful electro type attacks, then Raichu would probably be like a B or A tier mon, right? Because of just the idea of being able to completely counter Regieleki and forcing it to use like Ancient Power Hyper Beam or like Terra Blast to Terra is like a really good niche that Raichu would have. But right now, just like being able to stop Iron Hands and Zapdos is just It's not good enough for Raichu to be, better than C. But I would say C because it does fit on certain teams. It does go really good on rain teams. So, like I said, if Regieleki was better, you could slot Raichu on any team. But I put it on C team because you can slot Raichu on those rain teams and protect your water types from the electric type attacks, right? And it's really good for that. Alolan Raichu, I'm gonna say it's F. There's no real electric terrain. Maybe if Tapu Koko was in the game, Raichu would be better. Something to take advantage of his Surge Surfer ability. If it was able to instantly get a boost and not have to set up electric terrain with like Iron Bundle or something like that. And Picturing, I'm not even sure if he's in this game, right? He is in this game, but Picturing's just very like you're not really gonna be using it. So we can actually, since we already said it, we'll just go ahead and move Picturing up some. We'll put him in F side alongside. He could be good in Trick Room, but he just doesn't do enough damage, right? He does set the electric terrain, so you can use these two together. But if you're using these two together, then your opponent's gonna be looking at you and thinking free wins, right? So don't use these. Wigglytuff, same thing in F tier. You don't want to be using it competitive. If you want to use a competitive mon, just use Galarian Articuno. That's the only real niche that this thing has. The normal fairy type is good typing, but you don't have like the stats to really take advantage of that. Venomoth, I didn't even know this was in Scarlet and Violet. It's also F tier. Dugtrio is going to be D tier for me. It is a really good Pokemon, right? Because of its ability, it traps things in that are not flying types or have levitate. So it's a trapping Pokemon similar to Gothitelle, right? But the thing about it is it's so frail. Like, even though you're trapping something, you're getting removed easily, right? And the thing about Gothitelle is it's bulky and it's hard to remove. Plus, you have Terrassalization to get away from Gothitelle's weaknesses. If this thing Terrassalized, its HP stat is so low, you're still gonna just knock it out, right? But I do want to put it in D because I do think it's a decent Pokemon. But like I said, Gothitelle does its job a lot better with as far as trapping. I do think they need to create a new Pokemon with a trapping ability. I hope we get one in like the update, just so we have something else to use besides Gothitelle and Dugtrio, right? I do think the trapping playstyle is pretty fun. Alolan Dugtrio is trash. We don't really have to talk about it. Persian is not good. This Persian, I want to say it's D. I can't really think of it's a dark type. I mean, if you want to use a dark type, use Dark Urshifu. Support dark type. Use Umbreon. Use Murkrow. I can't really think of anything else. Moltres. Galarian Moltres is pretty good, right? So I feel like Persian will be good in the restricted format because I have memories of using this Pokemon in Sword and Shield and it being really good. But Fluttermane being so common right now, just being able to one-shot you and you forced to run a Focus Sash. But then if you're running Focus Sash on this, like you might have something else on your team that really wants to use Focus Sash. And it doesn't really outspeed a lot of the things that you want it to, right? Even though it's really fast, it's not outspeeding Fluttermane. It's not outspeeding Arm Bundle. It's not outspeeding Chien-Pao, right? So unless you have a Choice Scarf, but then you're getting one shot with a Moonblast if it's Booster Energy Fluttermane. So we don't want to be using that. Golduck it's not good. If it had Muddy Water, I would consider it a C tier because you can put on a rain team and do a lot of damage with like Terra Water, Life Orb, Muddy Water, but it doesn't get that, right? Primate, I seen James Beck use it recently on a video. It was pretty decent. So I guess you can put it in D tier. It's not an F. Because of the Eviolite and it having Encore and stuff like that, he used it really well. But you might as well just use Annihilate, right? Annihilate is the new Pokemon, the brand new toy. And Annihilate is still good in this format, right? So why would you use something that's a little bit worse, even though it might be a little bit bulkier? Annihilate just does its job way better. Plus the ghost typing can be understated. It can't be faked out. It causes different plays for them to make. Like you can see this, fake it out and try to get rid of it. You can't do that to Annihilate, right? Just the ghost type below and being immune to normal type attacks just gives it a better place than that. Arcanine, I'm going to put it in D tier. I'm going to put it at the top of D tier. Actually, I can't say Arcanine's that bad. I want to say Hisuian Arcanine does its job better. So I'm going to put Hisuian Arcanine in a B. I'll put Arcanine in a C because it's not as... Even though it is a wannabe, I feel like a certain team, depending on what your team needs, this Arcanine may be better than this Arcanine. So I'm gonna say, actually, I'm gonna just put them together, but I'm gonna say this one's better. I think this Arcanine is better. I just moved Arcanine up 2 places. I know how good Arcanine can be, and when in Center War, if it ever does come back, then these two will probably fall to C and D. I think you could put them in B right now simply for the fact that Intimidate is good, being a fire type is good, having a good matchup into Flutter Mane is really positive. This Arcanine is immune to, not immune, but it resists poison, it resists normal, and normal like extreme speed is really good right now. It's good in the Chimpow. It hits Dragonite and Chimpow for super effective rock damage, so they force the Terror to get away from the Rock Slide, right? And it's really good. Like this next to Gastrodon plus like a flying type or a level type user is a really good like core, because you threaten to switch in with your flying types in the back. You threaten to switch in with Gastrodon to get rid of those water types. And these are just, it's 4 times weaknesses to ground and water. And then you also have Intimidate, right? And then Terrestrialization to get away from those weaknesses. So it's really good. I do like Arcanine. Getting into Slowbro. This Slowbro's decent. It's pretty bulky, but it's a lot of Pokemon that do its job better. It's a Psychic type Trick Room user, right? Just use Cresselia, use Indeedee, use Armarouge. It's just so many different. I can go ahead and do all of the family, not the trio, the quadra, whatever it's called when you have 4. These are F tier though. Slowking's F tier from, well, he gets Chilly Reception. So he can be, actually he's a little bit better now that I think about it. The Chilly Reception is good for snow teams. So that the Slowking can actually fit on like a slow Trick Room snow team, right? I can see this like being able to set up Trick Room and then go for Chilly Reception and get in your Glastrier. And Glastrier comes in under Trick Room, plus the Snow Boost is like really good. So I think it can fit on one type of team. I do think the Galarian versions of this Pokemon are not good at all. Just them losing the water typing and adding on the poison typing is not good for them. Even though they just really are weak to ground, it just feels like these can stay on the field longer with their resistances rather than ground being a common type for stopping Trick Room and dealing with Trick Room mons. You don't really want to see that. And it does have the niche of like Quick Draw plus his ability, Quick Draw's ability plus Quick Claw. But that's only like, what, a 50% chance of happening if you have both. I think it might be even less than that. So I do want to leave them an F. If you're trying to use them, you're not going to be having a good time with it. Magneton, F tier for me. Muck is going to be D tier. It's a bulky poison type. It can stall out games with like toxic and like citrus berry stuff and poison jab. It's not an F tier Pokemon. It's a good tier Pokemon. I've lost to it before, and it wasn't Regulation C, and I also won with it in Regulation C. I made a variant of it, put it on the team, and I got some wins with it. So I know what it can do. So I don't want to put it in an F. This guy, I don't really want to talk about him. I'm gonna put him in D tier as well. I'm gonna put him in C tier. I don't like him because he does the Chansey thing with the minimize, and the power alchemy is really cool. So I want to use this Pokemon because I like the way it looks, but I just don't want to use it in a minimized way. So I do want to try to like make a variant of this that's not doing that strategy, but it can be good because people might expect it to do that strategy and it's not going for that, right? So I'll go ahead and put it in the C tier for now, but I don't really want to talk too much more about it. I really don't like Chansey strategies. Chansey Shuckle kind of traumatized me in Sword and Shield, and the fact that this is like something similar, I'm not really feeling that. Cloyster, I made a video with it in Regulation C to use it. I really forced it, but I just wanted to make a Cloyster team because I thought it was pretty cool. It's definitely F tier Pokemon though. It's not good. Gengar, it's D tier. It's a ghost type that gets Trick Room. It wants to run a Focus Sash, but if you're using a ghost type with Trick Room and Focus Sash, just use Flutter Mane. The exact same Flutter Mane set, but Flutter Mane is just faster. It hits harder. The Fairy typing is a much better typing than the Poison typing, right? So it is better in Rillaboom than Flutter Mane is, but just use Flutter Mane if you're gonna go for Focus Sash and Trick Room. Hypno, it's just an F tier. It's a slow Trick Room Psychic user. We have plenty of those. We don't need more. Electrode, it's an F tier. It's bad. This Electrode is, I'm gonna say it's C tier. The Grass Electric is good. It's a lot better than this Electrode because it can hit those ground types that this one can't. And also it works on like using a strategy with like Annihilate that like Aaron Zhang showcased, as well as it's a fun set if you want to go like max speed and then add like Chloroblast plus Choice Specs. It can like do a lot of surprise damage from the grass side, right? But then again, them seeing this and knowing it's a grass type, they might be prepared for like a powerful grass type attack, but they also might think it's support. So I do think it's a C tier. I think it fits on one type team. Chansey, next. So let's go to Scizor. Not Scizor, Scyther. So I'm gonna put Scyther in D tier because of the Eviolite and Tailwind stuff and like Faint. It can be decent, but just use Scizor, right? If you're gonna use it, even though Scizor is like a completely different Pokemon, Scizor is just a lot better in a lot of ways, and Scizor helps deal with Flutter Mane. This thing being weak to Rock and weak to Electric, it's kind of like the 4 times weakness to Rock just makes the Eviolite not feel good, right? So moving on to the next, Tauros, F tier. This Tauros, F tier, because this is just regular fighting Tauros. Blaze Breed, I'm going to say D tier. Aqua Breed, D tier. They're Intimidate users. They are Water and Fire. They do have like a good matchup into Chien-Pao. They kind of wall Chien-Pao on both sides. It can only hit it with really Sacred Sword. But other than that, they don't really have. They do have like the double kick and being able to wall Chien-Pao is a good. It's okay, but they just want to be intimidators, right? They do have like a lot of like gimmicky strategies that you can do with them, but overall they're not really that consistent. This being weak to Flutter Mane, this being weak to like Landorus and getting intimidated back is just not good for these two, right? Gyarados. We have our first A tier Pokemon. Gyarados is definitely one of the premier intimidators. Might be the second best intimidator, right? I actually really like Hisuian Arcanine a lot. I think I'm gonna put it in A tier. I think regular Arcanine is in B tier. This just made thinking about Gyarados, thinking about like these two are kind of like even as far as intimidators. Gyarados gives you like a better answer to Urshifu, but otherwise Arcanine gives you the intimidate that's a good into like a lot of the other comps that aren't Urshifu water, right? And I would think Landorus is probably the better intimidator of the three, but I think it's kind of debatable. I actually will probably put all three of them together. I can't really decide which one's better. Landorus has the better typing, but Gyarados' water flying typing is good because electric is not common right now. And this typing is good when you can avoid its initial 4 times weaknesses, right? So I would kind of compliment, like they'll probably all be together, but I would probably put Landorus above them, right? But this is just my opinion. But these Arcanine, Hisuian Arcanine is really good, man. Like I've played with it, and I know we already ranked this, so I don't want to talk too much more about it. But it's a really good Pokemon. I recommend anyone to try it. It has a Choice Band set, it has an Assault Vest set, and this is just sets that people are choosing to use that explore this Pokemon more, rather than it going for the Rock Head, Head Smash strategies and stuff like that. So Vaporeon, it's a D tier Pokemon. It's really good, but it gets outclassed by like a lot of other water types. And if you want to use a bulky water type, just use Dondozo, right? But it does have the water absorb and like yawn and stuff, so it can be annoying. It's one of those annoying Pokemon that when you see it, you know it's not that good, but you know if you don't deal with it, it can kind of like cost you the game. Jolteon's F tier, Flareon's F tier, Articuno is going to be C tier. It's a lot better than these though. I think it's better than Charizard. Now it only works on the snow team with Abomasnow, but when it's on that team, it's really good. Like the Bright Powder set with the Snow Cloak, making it hard to hit this thing, plus like being able to roost in Terra, like just all makes for like a really powerful Pokemon that can stay on the field and keep clicking Blizzard, which has a chance to freeze you and gives you a win con, right? That can't be understated because freeze is such a powerful, status condition. Articuno, I'm gonna give it C tier. I don't think it's a D tier because I don't know if it's the only Pokemon that's really viable using Tailwind and Trick Room. And actually with that, I'm going to give it B. I think it's very underexplored, even by myself. I think it has the potential to be really good. The Psychic and Flying typing doesn't really help it much, but the fact that it does get Trick Room and Tailwind and can play under both, it's just a really good combo. I think it needs to be explored more. Competitive can help you like deal with it because usually you would see Incineroar, and Incineroar just completely walls this thing Like with Assault Vest, it can intimidate you. You can get your plus boost, but you're not really going to be KOing it unless you hit like a Hurricane, which is inaccurate. But these, like, even though the Arcanine can hit it with rock type attacks, it can hit Arcanine back with the Psychic Stab, and that's what you really want to be using. It can hit Gyarados back with the Psychic Stab, the Freezing Glare. It can hit Landers back with the Psychic Stab, Freezing Glare. And the Freezing Glare is what you really want to be clicking with this thing, right? So it's not hard walled by the Intimidators in the format like it is when Incineroar is in the format. So I think it can be a B tier. Zapdos is going to be A tier for me. It's really annoying to play against when you as an Urshifu user, because you know it's Rocket Helmet, you know it's static, you know you're going to get paralyzed, you know you're going to chip yourself, you know if you don't deal with it, it's going to get Tailwind up and it's going to click Thunderbolts into things, and it has a really good special attack stat. So its Thunderbolts are not hitting like a wet noodle. They're doing decent damage to you. Zapdos is a really good Pokemon right now. And that's Galarian Zapdos. That's Kanto Zapdos. Galarian Zapdos, I think it can be good on specific teams that need like something to deal with Intimidate, but it being weak to Flutter Mane and getting outran by it is not good for it, right? So I'm gonna put it in C tier. It's around like Charizard's level. It can win on the right team, and like it did just get like a rank 3 ranking, but that's because that player really understood how to use his own team, right? And like I say, Zapdos is not bad. It can be good. It can sweep your team. It does have that good matchup into Among Us, and it's not really walled by the Intimidators, right? So it's decent. I respect it. I'm never going to understate it, but just being outran by Flutter Mane means that you really can't be on every team. You're only going to work on specific teams. Moltres, I'm going to say a bulky fire type. I'm going to say it's C tier as well. It can't do much more than pretty much play on some teams. It can play on some teams. It can play. I did make a team built around it, and I felt like that team was strong at first, but as I started to play it more, I felt like Moltres was kind of like a hindrance. But it does have the niche where it can play on a Sun team or a Rain team with the Heat Wave and Hurricane respectively, and have stab on both, right? So that's pretty cool of having a fire type that can take advantage of the rain. I mean, Charizard can do something similar, right? But I think Charizard is just a little bit better because of it's a little bit faster, and Solar Power is a better ability than Flame Body as far as being an offensive type. If you want to use this as a defensive type with a Terra, then it could be decent. I think it's going to stay around these birds. It's not bad, though. It's not D tier. So Moltres is A tier. This Pokemon is really good. It forces your opponent to play around, not acting berserk. If the only thing about it is, like, you want to run... The only downside I see to Moltres, right, is if you want to run Fiery Wrath, you want to run Air Slash or Hurricane, and then you want to run Nasty Plot and Tailwind. But then you're going to need Protect on this because of being weak to Fairy and having to force a Terror on this, and being weak to like Electric and Rock and Ice. You want to be able to Protect to play around that stuff and not always burn your Terror on this. So you can just go for those Tailwinds and go for a Nasty Plot and then protect yourself because you're a threat, and cause your opponent to like double into you and make them waste turns and stuff, right? You want to Protect on this. So that being said, that makes it like not an S tier Pokemon for me. But the fact that it puts on that much pressure, it does have that 5 move syndrome. But if you can find like the best set around this, then I think it's really good. Dragonite is definitely S tier. This Pokemon, what more can we say? It was good in Regulation C. It was good in the preseason before Series 1. We knew that it was going to be good next to Chien-Pao, and it showed that it's even better in this format now with Chien-Pao, because Chien-Pao's rose up because of so many powerful physical attackers. Mostly like Urshifu and like Hisuian Arcanine and Rillaboom. They're good alongside Chien-Pao, so just having something with like priority, powerful extreme speed that does a lot more damage is really good. Arcanine can kind of do a similar role to this, but it doesn't get the multi-scale and the inner focus that this thing gets, which makes its ability better, right? And also, Dragonite's base attack is higher than Arcanine, so it can do the extreme speed, normal extreme speed stuff a little bit better. Typhlosion, I'm going to say is D tier. It does have, it can go for Eruption, Choice Scarf, and the Sun, but if you're going to do that, just use Hisuian Typhlosion. It's the same thing. I think it's better than Charizard. It does the same thing that Tyranitar does, but better because it's a ghost type, so it can't be faked out. It is weaker to Sucker Punch, right? But you can play around that by like having something in the back that prevents priority, And if you could prevent priority, then it's really good. Like, it's just better than this. I haven't built a team around this yet, but I plan to because I know how good this Pokemon can be. It's also the starter that I chose when I played Legends Arceus, so I do want to like give it a chance now that it's viable in Regulation D. Ampharos, I made a video about this Pokemon back in Regulation C. I think I used it the best it could be used, but it's an F tier Pokemon. It's not that good. It's supposed to be bulky, but it still just gets trampled by like ground type attacks. So Azumarill is gonna be D tier for me. See, because it has a fairy typing, I'll put it in C. I think it's better than Raichu. I put it in C. It kind of fell off. If you want to use a physical water type attacker, you much rather use Palafin. And if Palafin also has something that outclasses it right now currently, which is Urshifu, right? So being outclassed by two other physical attack water types is not good for it. And while the fairy typing is good and it hits a lot in the format, like just like being kind of slow and having to play in Trick Room, you really don't want to be in Trick Room that often against some of these hyper offense teams, right? With the Azumarill. And I feel like if you're going to play like a hard Trick Room team, there's just so much more Trick Room options now that you don't want to be basing your team around sweeping with a Azumarill when it can miss a play rough 10% of the time, which is a lot in VGC. Missing play rough 10% of the time is huge because a lot of the times the games don't last that long and every turn is crucial. So just missing it one time can just like completely set you back. Sudowoodo, I haven't seen it. I've seen maybe one on the ladder and I just completely wrecked that kid that was using it. It couldn't do anything, right? It was just an easy win for me. There's not much more to talk about with that Pokemon. Jump Bluff is still a chlorophyll user. It's only going to work on sun teams, right? Falls right in there with like Raichu. Maybe better than Azumarill because of the Encore and being fast. But right now there's a better chlorophyll user in my opinion, which is Lilligant. And it's kind of got the shiny new toy syndrome. It's a lot more fun. So I feel like it's, just better in that, right? Sunflower is a weird Pokemon. It's definitely F tier. But for some reason, like, it has chlorophyll. So you want to use it in, like, a sun team to be fast. But then it just doesn't do... It's not fast enough. It's a Trick Room mon. It's like its base speed is really slow. So it's pointless to have chlorophyll. Then it has solar power, right? But then you have to use it on a sun room team. But if you want to sleep with something under Trick Room in the sun, you're just going to use Torkoal. Right, you don't really have a place for Sunflower, so it's just weird. I think they should have made this like a fast Pokemon, then they could have took advantage of like the chlorophyll or the solar power, depending on what you want to use, so it could play on Tailwind. But they kind of ruined it with like the slow speed tier. But I get it; it's like a Sunflower. It doesn't move much, but there's other flower Pokemon that are fast, right? I mean, just think of Hisuian Lilligant and regular Lilligant. Those are flowers too, and they're pretty fast. So I'm not sure what they were going for with that. Quagsire F tier. Just use Clodsire. Clodsire is decent. Quagsire is bad. Espeon, right down here with your siblings, it's not good. Being weak to Fluttermane's ghost type attacks, being weak to Gholdengo, being weak to Urshifu Dark, and not being able to really counter stuff with Psychic. I mean, I guess you are good at Amoonguss, but you're never one-shot Amoonguss, so you don't even have that niche. Umbreon, it's going to be D tier for me. It's right around Mux level. It can be annoying if it gets in the right position. I don't think it really deserves like a C tier because it doesn't just work on any team. It really doesn't work at all because of how common Urshifu is. But if you get it in the right spot and they don't have like fairy and fighting coverage or like a strong bud type attack, then you can do some annoying things with Yawn and like Snarls and Moonlight and stuff like that. But other than that, it's not good. Murkrow's Fallen from Grace. Tornadus completely outclasses it, but I still think it's better than Talonflame. So I'm going to give it a C because it fits on certain teams. If you need like a Dondozo answer, if you need like a rain answer, you can go with the sun mode with Murkrow. If you need a sun answer, you can go with the rain dance on Murkrow. So it does its niche. It does have a niche in this format. Misdrevious is D tier. It's a decent bulky Trick Room setter with Eviolite, but there's so many more Pokemon that do what it can do better. Like I said, it has Trick Room. It's bulky. It has Will-O-Wisp. But if you want to go for that, just use Mimikyu, right? Mimikyu is much better. Plus, Mimikyu provides more offense. Girafarig is only here because now it gets Eviolite, but we're not going to use it. Just use Farigiraf. Uh, what's the name of this Pokemon? It's I literally forgot the name of this Pokemon. That's crazy because I just Fortress. That's his name. Fortress. It's F tier. Dunsparce F tier. Quillfish F tier. Hisuian Quillfish D tier. Right around Umbreon. It can be annoying. It gets Eviolite, it gets Intimidate, but just use Overquill. Use another Intimidate user if you're gonna use something to Intimidate, because it's just gonna get knocked out. Even though it's only weak to ground, I just feel like it's not putting on enough pressure to like do his job. Scizor is gonna be C tier. I think it's right around Typhlosion. It does its job well. Well, actually, it's B tier then. Because if we're gonna go by my description, then if it does its job, it has one job and it does it well, and that's get Flutter Mane off the field or force Flutter Mane to terror or protect. And just being like having that much pressure alone just gives you a very good role, because Flutter Mane is so common in the format, right? So just being good into that makes you B tier. Yeah, and I do think Scizor is good. It does get, you can use like Tailwind on it. A Choice Band set can be good. I'm interested to see how well it can play alongside Chien-Pao. The only thing is Flutter Mane is just never going to let you bullet punch unless you pin it. Now, if you pin Flutter Mane, then Scizor is going to feel like the best Pokemon in the world to just, it's so refreshing to just remove Flutter Mane from the game immediately. But a lot of people just turn one, they're not just gonna let you bullet punch into their Flutter Mane, right? They're gonna protect, they're gonna terror, they're gonna switch out, they're gonna do something to mitigate that. So that's the only thing about that. Heracross, F tier. Fighting Bug, just use Slitherwing, right? Slitherwing's cooler. Slitherwing can take advantage of photosynthesis, also first impression, and Slitherwing's just, it's a Generation 9 Pokemon. So just use the newer one over something that's been kind of mediocre since its introduction into the game, right? I know it's really good in singles, but we're not talking about singles. We're talking about VGC. Sneasel, I'm gonna put these two. I don't really believe in like the inner focus fake out stuff. Just use Sneasler and Weavile, right? Don't use these two. Like, it's not worth it. Ursaring also F tier. The Eviolite idea is cute, but just use Ursaluna, right? Don't, and it's the point where it's not even close. Like, Ursaluna is probably gonna be like an A or S tier Pokemon. Like, don't use this and just try to do the same thing but don't have the ground typing. Be a little bit faster so you're not as good in Trick Room. And then even though you have the Eviolite, you're not gonna feel as bulky because people are just gonna remove you from the field quick anyway. Delibird F tier. Might be the worst Pokemon in the game. Sorry about that, Delibird. It's funny because your Paradox form is really good. Houndoom, it's not good. Aaron Zhang did showcase it back on early, like, what was it, Regulation B or something like that, but it's not good. Donphan also not good. Just use the Paradox form. Stantler, Eviolite, could be decent. Has the Intimidate plus skill swap. It's a normal type Intimidator. There's not really anything else like that. I guess it'll be D, because Weird Deer will probably be C tier, so I put Stantler D. Blissey, do you really want to? You're with Chansey. You're not good. Tyranitar, C tier, is niche. It's scary because it can be put down easy with being a 4 times weak to fighting, but it has access to terrestrialization, right? It can change the weather, which can be understated against dealing with weather teams, but actually it might be like right up here. Yeah, I'll put it right here. I know Tyranitar can be good, but it's just, it's so obvious that it's going to tear, right? And it's so obvious what it's going to tear into. And you can pretty much predict your opponent from there, and that's really not good. Pelipper is really good right now. I think it's reliable. Setting up Rain is really good for it. I feel bad about putting Tyranitar in the C tier now that I'm thinking about Pelipper being in the B tier. But Tyranitar is just not as reliable this format as Pelipper was. I may feel differently if I see it get some results, I see someone use it, or if I try to use it myself. I'm really a fan of sand teams. You know, I was doing really well with the Lycanroc Tyranitar team, but I haven't even tried Lycanroc Tyranitar this format because it just seems like it just kind of gets beat down by like the Dragonite, Chien-Pao, Urshifu stuff, and you can't really like click rocks into like a fighting type that's one of the most common Pokemon in the format, and it hits both. It can one shot both of y'all with Surging Strikes, and that's not good. So Gardevoir, I'm gonna say it's D tier. So Fairy Psychic type. It has Trick Room in Prison. Just use Flutter Mane. Masquerain, Water Flying type with Intimidate. I say it's D tier because it has Intimidate. But if you're gonna use a Flying type with Intimidate, just use Gyarados or Landorus. Breloom, same thing, B tier. Just use Amoonguss. Vigoroth, F tier. Slaking, niche. And I'm putting this because the stats are crazy, so I can't put it in F. Using it alongside Grafai is the little strategy to get rid of its ability. But this thing is going to be good. It's going to be the new Regigigas if Weezing comes to the game. Or if they, I've heard some leaks about a new potential watermelon type, not watermelon looking Weezing. And if that Weezing is true and it comes to the game and it gets neutralizing gas, then I can see Slaking like having some play. All right, so Hariyama is going to be C tier, only works on hard Trick Room teams. Sableye, kind of annoying. I'm going to say it's D tier because it's a fake out user with screens and like, of course it gets Encore and Will-O-Wisp, but if you want to use fake out and screens, just use Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl is much better than Sableye. Medicham, fake out, psychic type fighting, unique typing. But if you're gonna use psychic fighting with, just use Gallade, right? I'm gonna say it's a wannabe too. Swalot, F tier. Camerupt, F tier. Torkoal, same as Pelipper. Good setter, good in Trick Room. Plays his role well, does what it's supposed to do. I don't think it's A tier because it can be like kind of caught out of position. And when Torkoal's out of position, it just feels really bad, right? Because everything outspeeds it, everything chips it so it can't get eruption off. It feels like the best Pokemon in Trick Room. It feels like the worst when it's caught out of position, and it's not a support set. Grumpig, Cacturing something. I don't remember his name. Cacturing. I don't remember what his name was. Not good anyway. Altaria, not good. Zangoose. It'll be the top of F tier. Respect the Zangoose because it used to be one of my favorite Pokemon back in Gen 3. When it first came out, I thought it was so cool. Seviper, F tier because you're just bottom F tier since Zangoose at the top. Actually, Delibird's at the bottom. So, Wishcast, F tier. Bayonet, F tier. Tropius. I've seen this Pokemon. I'm going to say it's C tier. I know it's 4 times weak to ice, but this thing, when it terrestrializes in the water and like it just sticks on the field and it's kind of annoying. It works on stall teams, right? And I think that's good enough to put it up there. Glalie, the moody stuff is cute, but that only works in singles. It's not really working in doubles. Love this. Never seen that. Salamence, flying type intimidator, a dragon. Similar to these two, it gets outclassed by the other intimidators. Same with Staraptor. It does have the Final Gambit set with Intimidate, which is unique. But if you're going to use Final Gambit, just use Annihilate. If you're going to use Intimidate plus Flying, use Landorus, Gyarados, right? Cricktoon, no, not good. I'm going to put Luxray up here. I think Luxray is better than those. Luxray has just being a little bit bulky and being an electric type Intimidator is kind of niche for it. Actually, I might put Luxray up there with Tropius. It's a little bit better than these in my opinion. It's about the same as Salamence. I'll put them up there, and I'll leave these two right here. Let's see. Vespiquen, F tier. Pachirisu, it's a wannabe. Put it right here. If you're going to use Follow Me, use Indeedee. If you want to use Follow Me, use Mouse Hold. You want to use Volt Absorb, use Thundurus, Therian, right? You're going to go right here with Golduck. Same thing. You're just the physical version of Golduck. You're really fast in the rain, but you're just too frail to do anything, right? You want to run a Choice Band, but if you run Choice Band, you get one shot. You want to run Focus Sash, but Focus Sash still gets chipped and then dies to priority, right? It's not good. Gastrodon has 2 up here. Gastrodon's going to be an A tier for me People are asleep on this Pokemon, and I'm gonna put both of them right there. Not sure why they got two. Like they don't have any different stats. It's just literally a different color. But Gastrodon is a good Pokemon, right? Just the Storm Drain ability. Whenever they're a strong type, water type Pokemon in the format, Gastrodon is gonna be good because it forces the mind games. Is Gastrodon gonna stick in? Oh, they have Gastrodon on their team. I need to bring answers to Gastrodon, which force them to kind of like bring suboptimal Pokemon when you might not even be planning to bring your Gastrodon, right? But they brought something suboptimal just to make sure that they're dealing with Gastrodon, most likely grass types, right? The only reason it's not S tier, in my opinion, is because it's 4 times weak to grass, and it's really easy to kill it with a grass type move with it being so slow, right? Let's see. Drift Bloom, C tier niche, only works on like Indeedee terrain teams, right? Uh, I forget this thing's name too. It's Miss Dravis, something like that. It's F tier though. It's not that good. Honchkrow, uh, it's a flying dark type. It has a high physical attack. It's decent, but it's so frail. Just use Galarian Moltres, right? Skuntank F tier, Bronzong C tier. It only fits on Trick Room teams, but it can be like it can be a pretty good Trick Room setter. Has unique typing with Steel and Psychic to deal with like a lot of different Trick Room counters. It's decent. Same with Spirit Tomb. It falls in the same category as Bronzong. Has a unique typing in Dark and Ghost, and it's decent at setting up Trick Room because of that typing. Right, it's really only weak to like Fairy. So like a good terror on that, you can successfully get up Trick Rooms. Just same with like Bronzong. Garchomp fell from grace. I don't want to say it's D tier though, but I will put it in C tier. I think it's niche. It will work on certain teams, not sand teams, but like hyper offense tailwind teams that you need a good like ground dragon type. It can work on. It's I think it's right there with a Azumarill, right? It might be better than Azumarill. Lucario, it's not F tier. I think it's D tier. Same thing with Final Gambit. If you want to use the justified ability, just go for like Arcanine. Go for that strategy. Arcanine is going to be much better in that position. The Final Gambit is not fast enough. Well, it's not. It doesn't have as much HP as Annihilate, so Annihilate does that better. All right, so we're making way. We're going to start speed run a little bit more. Hippowdon, just use Tyranitar. So it's going to be D tier. Toxicroak, fake out, dry skin, immune to Urshifu. Gives it a niche. Fits on like rain teams, helping you deal with Urshifu, right? It's just like Raichu's right around there. Lumineon, it does get Storm Drain, right? So I'll put it here, but if you want to use Storm Drain, just use Gastrodon or even Tatsugiri, right? Much better. Abomasnow, C tier, fits on one team. It's better than Tyranitar right now, though, in my opinion. So we'll put it right here. Weavile, D tier, just use Sneasler. Magnazone, D tier. Chlorophyll, fast user, just use Sicilian Luligant for Leafeon. Glaceon, it's going to take advantage of the snow and be bulky, have Ice Bite to heal it. But just use Snow Cloak if you want to go for those blizzards. Articuno is much better than Glaceon. It has the Roost, and it has the Snow Cloak, which is better than Ice Body to me. Gallade, this thing is good. People are actually asleep on this Pokemon, right? The Focus Sash set with Wide Guard and Sharpness with Psycho Cut. And let me drink some water real quick. With Psycho Cut. Sorry about that. Psycho Cut and Sacred Sword. Like, this Pokemon is B tier. Like, to me, it's a really good Pokemon. I think it's slept on. I actually need to use it more myself. Frostlass, F tier. It's not that good. The Destiny Bond set only really works in singles, right? Rotom normal, not good. Rotom Heat, say D tier. There's better fire types. It does have unique fire electric typing, but that's not enough to put over the top. Just being able to get to one-shot Urshifu, but get one shot back and outsped by Urshifu is not good for it. Having a good matchup into Urshifu is good, but then we realize you have a bad matchup into Rillaboom, which is most likely Urshifu's partner. Not good for Rotom. So it's also D tier because there's just better water types to use. You're F tier Rotom, you're F tier Rotom, and I think Rotom Grass is a little bit better than people think. You do wall Rillaboom, you do wall Urshifu, but it can't hit you a close combat. But I think it's actually a little bit better than Rotom Heat in my opinion. But that's a good slot for it. Uxie, it's D tier. Just use Cresselia, Levitate, Psychic, Trick Room, same thing. Mesprit, just use Uxie. If you can't use Uxie because Cresselia is better, why would you use Mesprit? Azelf, it actually plays a different role than these two. I would say it's kind of niche. It can go for like those explosion sets, and also I think it's the best one to take advantage of the new move, Mystical Power. So I want to put it up a little bit higher. I think it is better than a lot of people who get it. I think it's underexplored. I want to know how good like the Mystical Fire set can be when this is actually like an offensive mind, because it gets so much coverage, right? With the Bolt, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower stuff. It's really good. Heatran, this Pokemon's S tier. It's everywhere. The Fire Steel typing, people know it's gonna tear the grass, and even knowing it's gonna go to grass terror is still like a problem, right? This going to grass, and you know it's gonna go grass. When you see it in team preview, you're like, uh-oh, there's Heatran. I got to deal with grass terror, right? You already know it's coming, so, and it's still good. Cresselia, S tier as well. It's the best Trick Room setter in the format, in my opinion, as far as what it's supposed to do. And now you can really just go for the Icy Wind and it'd be like a Trick Room counter if you want to put this on your team, because it's hard to remove, right? And now Aaron Zane ran into a Choice Scarf Cresselia, which was hilarious. I've never seen that, but it's interesting because it is like base 85 speed. Samurott, it's F tier. Hisuian Samurott, I'm gonna say C tier. Right there with Hisuian Typhlosion. Fits on like rain teams. It is good. It can set up, the Ceaseless Edge. I do want to try it though and build my own team using it. So I know it can be decent though, and it's one of those Pokemon that's new. Lilligant, it's in the D tier right now. It is still a good Pokemon, right? But it's just the shiny new toy. This is faster and has 2 stabs instead of 1. It's actually an offensive threat rather than just a Leaf Storm bot. Makes Hisuian Lilligant really good. Hisuian really good is actually the A tier Pokemon. This Pokemon is really good. Like the Torkoal stuff with this, making it be faster, Sleep Powder, Close Combat, Leaf Blade, Solar Blade, Covert Cloak, Focus Sash set, Ghost Terror. It's a really good Pokemon. Basculin, F tier. Where are you gonna go? You're Intimidate user, so I kind of want to put you down with the other Intimidate users because you just don't do their job better. And you're like, if you want to use a ground type Intimidator, just use Landorus, right? Zoroark, D tier 2. I put it up here. It can do some things because of its ability. It can be annoying and cost you to think, and the fact that it causes you to make changes to your team preview lets it not be an F tier, right? Anything that can cause you to do something in team preview, I feel like it's not F tier. Now this one's A tier. This Pokemon is really good, right? It's underrated. It hasn't been used more. Being immune to 3 different things, with that being Ghost, Normal, and Fighting, is huge, right? The mind game of whether this thing is on lead or not is good. Being able to one-shot Fluttermane with like Life Orb Ghost type attack is really good, right? The mind games it causes are insane. It's a really good Pokemon. I want to use it as well. You only here because you can use Eviolite. You're a Trick Room user. You go right there with Slowbro. You also Trap, but just use Gothitelle. Gothitelle, in my opinion, is an S tier Pokemon. It's not used enough. Gothitelle is one of the Pokemon that it plays like chess. It makes your opponent have to lead in a certain way, and it prevents your opponent from being able to move his pieces wherever he wants to, right? It puts the board in like a standstill state to where it kind of, benefits you because you have the power to switch your Gothitelle in or out. And that kind of just causes like a lot of different, like the same mind games similar to like this. You can't lead Palafin because it can get trapped in. You can't lead certain things next to whatever this thing's teammate is, because you might just get knocked out, right? And like this next to Urshifu that can go through protect with fake out, it's just like a really good combo. Godzilla slept on right now, and I am going to be featuring a team that I made. I've already featured one team with it, with Urshifu, but I got another team that I want to use for like Dondozo and Godzilla, right? So that'll be coming next. Probably not next week, but in the near future, I got it. Salzbug, F tier. It wants to be like a good sun type Pokemon, but it just doesn't get there. Among Us, probably better than all of these. S tier Pokemon. It's so annoying. Rocky Helmet just got rid of the Citrus Berry set and it didn't skip a beat. It's even better right now because it prevents physical type attackers from doing what they want to do, right? Even though they know it's Rocky Helmet, they know they got to hit it, because if they don't, they're getting put to sleep. And that is just very powerful for it. Alamanola, or however you pronounce it, F tier. Electros, F tier. Haxorus, F tier. Baratic, if you want to use snow, just use Articuno. But it's a Slush Rush user, so I mean, I put it in D tier. Cryogonal, F tier. Bisharp was my second favorite Pokemon after Infernape before King Gambit came. Now King Gambit's my second. Bisharp was always cool because as a kid I loved Power Rangers, and so it looked like a Power Ranger to me, which always made me like it. But Infernape always has my heart, and now after Infernape is King Gambit, right? Because King Gambit is just like a better Bisharp to me. But Bisharp, I'm gonna put it in D tier because it's still good, has Defiant, gets Eviolite, but just use King Gambit if you're gonna go for that. Braviary, Defiant user, just use Galarian Zapdos, and Galarian Zapdos is already not that good this format, so it does have the niche of being immune to Ghost, but offensive Ghost is not really that common right now, right? So we'll put Braviary right there. Hisuian Braviary, we'll put it right next to it. It's not much better than the original form. Hydreigons fell off a cliff. If you want to use a dark type dragon, just use Roaring Moon. It's not really that good right now. Volcarona, this Pokemon slept on. Its typing is really good. I think it's a reliable, Rage Powder with Flame Body. It does that really well. So we'll put it right there for now. All right, so we're coming up on an hour, so we kind of need to go faster. Tornadus, S tier. We already know what it does. Tailwind, being one of the best Tailwind setter, give you proper speed control is really good. Tornadus Starion, D tier. Just use another flying type. Thundurus, A tier. This Pokemon is really good. Support Thundurus is really good. Eerie Impulse, Thunder Wave, Windbolt Storm. It's a good Pokemon. This Thundurus, I would say, is in it's gonna be in C tier, but top of C tier. It's one of the best C tier Pokemon because it does good on rain teams, but it does an excellent job on rain teams. The Windbolt Storm and being like base 145 special attack is just really powerful. It fits in, like, this is sun, this is ice, this is rain. Like, these are like some Pokemon that are really good for those teams. Landorus plays this role well, being a special ground type attacker. It's gonna do the damage that you want it to do. It's kind of like Scizor. Like, it just one shots like anything that's weak to ground, right? And that's just a really good, niche for it in this format. Landorus, I would say A tier, but it's above Gyarados to me. Even though Gyarados can survive a little bit longer, it's still Landorus, right? Like, the ground typing plus flying typing is just very unique, and just Landorus is also a legendary. So just the better stats than Gyarados just makes it a little bit better. Pyroar, I'm a Leo, so I don't want to put a Leo in F. I'm gonna just put it in D, only for the fact that it's a lion and I'm a Leo, so I gotta put it in F, because that's why I like it, and also like the colors of it is really cool. But we'll just put it at the bottom of D, just so it's not an F. Vivian, Follow Me user, I think it's C tier. It's Follow Me plus Friend Guard. So that's really good, but you could just use Mousehold, which I think is better. But I wouldn't say that Vivian is D because it has a different role than Mousehold, which it can go for Tailwind, right, and Pollen Puff, which makes it kind of unique in its own way. So I think it's C tier. It fits on certain teams that need Tailwind plus Redirection and also like Pollen Puff, right? And it does get Sleep Powder. You can go for the Sleep Powder set too. Dragalge is F tier. Florges, Symbiosis. I made a fun team using Great Tusk, but right now I'm gonna say it's F tier. It's not that good right now. Delphox, same thing, F tier. I made it, if you want to check out the video I made with Delphox, it was a showdown video for 4th of July. I made like a mono fire type team because this kind of reminded me of like fireworks and stuff like that. And we got a couple wins on the showdown ladder with it. It was pretty fun, but I know it's not good. Its ability, Magician, can steal items. I did it a couple times, or like using Heat Wave. It's unique because you don't got to have a physical type move to steal items. So it can go for that. Chestnut, C tier. Just use, if you want to use Iron Defense Body Press, you can use Goodra. But I do think that it fits on its own certain type of teams to make it good. Greninja, people are asleep on this Pokemon. Greninja is actually high C for me. I think it's better than Charizard. Because of the Water Shuriken, it can activate so many Pokemon that like to be hit in order to get like their moves stronger, like Annihilate. And also, like, if you want to go Modest Nature with max special attack and tear in the water, your Water Shuriken in the rain is doing a lot of damage, right? So I feel like it can fit really well on like rain teams and like teams that need it to support it. So Greninja's good. If it had Map Block, it would be B tier, honestly. Go-Go, I plan on making a video around this Pokemon soon. I'm gonna put it in D tier. It's just a bulky Pokemon that wants to be in grassy terrain, but you can literally use any other Pokemon with grassy seed and do the same role, right? But I wanted to put it here for the simple fact that I'm going to be making a team around it soon, just to see how good it can be, right? So that's the idea behind that one. All right, so next we have, gosh, these Pokemon I haven't seen. There's so many Pokemon in the world now. I be forgetting their names, but this is the Dene. Let's see. So it's gonna be F tier. Cheek Pouch is cute, but that's all it is. It's cute. Avalog, F tier. Just use Hisuian Avalog, even though it has worse typing. It's a new Pokemon, right? And it's also D tier, but I'm also gonna be making a team around this Pokemon soon. I got a really cool theory, and I don't want to reveal it just here yet, but just look out for that new video that I'm gonna be making around that. Talonflame fell off a cliff. It's D tier though. It's still fast tailwind, but use Murkrow and Tornadus, right? Clawitzer, F tier. Mega Launcher's cool, but not really. Klefki, D tier. Just use Grimmsnarl. It's right there with Sableye. Halucha, it's D tier. It can play with a Needy with Psychic Seed or a Rillaboom with Grassy Seed, but at that point, just use Sneasler, right? Sneasler is faster, hits harder, and different typing, plus it's a new Pokemon. Noivern, F tier. Goodra, bulky dragon, can take special hits. Put it in D tier. Put it right here in D tier. Hisuian Goodra, S tier. Crazy, right? Because the one that does the job better is just the Hisuian version of it. It's the best Iron Defense Body Press user I've ever seen. And for the simple fact that it's Body Press and Iron Defense, and it doesn't get crit. I think, what's that Fire Dragon Tortoise? I forget his name, but he was in Sword and Shield. I think he gets ability that allows him to not be crit too, right? But Hisuian Goodra is just bulkier than that Pokemon is, right? And that thing also had like a move that like it's like a trap card activated like from Yu-Gi-Oh. Like if you do a certain move, its signature move will activate and do damage to you. It's a really cool Pokemon, but Hisuian Goodra is way better than that. Its name is Tort something. I can't remember what it was. All right. So another Pokemon, I forgot his name. Also not seen that well. He's not good though, but he does get Iron Defense Body Press. I believe he does get Trick Room. I'm not sure. He has Sturdy. I'll put him in D tier. He's not that good. Sylveon, put it in D tier. Probably top of D tier. Just use, actually, I'll put it on C. It fits on, if you want that Trick Room Mon, that fairy coverage that can hit both Pokemon with like spread type attacks, then you can use Sylveon. Because Fluttermane, while it does have Trick Room, it doesn't want to be in Trick Room. Let's see, where are we going to put this annoying Pokemon? I want to put it right next to. I don't even know if it's as good as Tropius. It's a stall Pokemon, right? It's good in singles. I'm gonna put it in D tier. It's just a stall. It fits on stall teams, but even on stall teams, it's still not that good. But that's what it's supposed to do. Salazzle. Oh, well, I just go ahead and Rangaroo. I already grabbed it. It's gonna be C tier. It fits on hard Trick Room teams. Instruct is really good. Salazzle, Fake Out, Encore. Fake Out alone gives you a niche. I'll put you right here with Metacham. Koala can be put to sleep. This Pokemon's underexplored. I still think it's D tier because there are other Pokemon that can get around the sleep status a bit better than it can. But I think it's unexplored as a Amogus counter. Serena, it's going to be B. It does its role well. Stops priority, being a grass type, being able to hit like a lot of Pokemon that are weak to grass with powerful physical grass type attacks. It does its job pretty well. Passimian, Defiant user. There's much better Defiant users than it. I'll put it down here in D tier. Mimikyu's is going to be A tier for me. This Pokemon is a really good Trick Room setter, as well as being like an offensive Trick Room setter that can hit you hard, can play supportive, can play offensive. It's good into some of the common Pokemon in the format like Chien-Pao, Dragonite, Fluttermane, Urshifu. Hits all of them for super effective, right? Actually, it might be right. Actually, it might be right here with Landers. I'll probably put it right here. Mimikyu is really good, unexplored. Palossand, it's one of those Pokemon that's good alongside Greninja. Like I told you, like Greninja and Annihilate, it likes to hit them with Water Surrogate. So if it fits on, the teams that use that strategy. So I'll put it next to Greninja. Orichalcoo, it's a gimmick. I think it's F tier. All of them are F tier. I haven't even tried them, so I don't know which one's better than which. Maybe I will in the future. It's not. Gumshoes, F tier as well. Lycanroc, C tier. Fits on Sandteens right next to Tyranitar. Midnight Lycanroc. It's going to be D tier. It's a crit user, but if you want to go for like crits that don't miss, just go for like Surgeon Strikes and stuff like that. Dawn, Lycanroc, I've never used this. I don't really know what it does. I actually think it's F tier. Mudsdale, Stamina is cool. D tier. The Decidueye, F tier, sorry. F tier. They're both bad. Bruxish, same thing with Serena. Does its job well. Blocks priority. It's really good at what it's supposed to do. It also has Trick Room. Crabominal, Trick Room Sweeper. Can fit on Trick Room teams. I don't think it's C tier, though. I think it's D tier. Lurantis, Leaf Storm, Shenanigans. It's F tier. It's not that good. Dreadnoughts fell into F tier. It's not good anymore. Rillaboom it just really doesn't want to see Rillaboom, right? It doesn't want to see Rillaboom. That's all I can say. Greedent, F tier. Barraskewda, F tier, along with these other Swift Swim users. Corviknight, I'm gonna say it's B tier. Yeah, it's right. It's right in B tier. It does what it's supposed to do. With the iron defense, body press, also like tailwind. The choice band set is decent. It's a good Pokemon. It's bulky. Walls, Fluttermane, that's good for it. Fluttermane Shadow Ball will drop his own special defense for mirror armor. I really like the aesthetics on Toxicity, but it's F tier. It's right there with the Decidueye and them. What's this thing name? I can't remember this. It looks like a bug Pokemon, but it's fighting. It gets the no retreat stuff, but it's still an F tier. Caparaja, Sheer Force, but it's too slow to take advantage of it. F tier. Colossal is going to be C tier for me. It fits on those teams that want to use the Colossal strategy. It's actually the key point of this team. Colossal can sweep you if you're not prepared for it, right? Using it like next to like something like Bruxis or something like that, or like a Dragonite with Aqua Jet and like safety goggles, Dragapult. It can sweep you if you're not prepared for it. So I'll put it in C tier. All right, so how we doing on time? All right, we're an hour in. All right, So we're doing well. We could probably finish in about an hour and 20 minutes, right? All right, Sandaconda. Its ability, if it just had regular sand, it'd be better, but I think it's F tier. You got to hit it to spit out the sand, and doing that is not good. So actually, our believer is just like that. You got to hit it to spit out the grass. Like Rillaboom, Tyranitar, and Hippowdon just outclass these two, but I'll put them right next to each other in F tier. Mel and Didi. I don't know why it's not seeing more. I guess it's just not offensive. I think it's D tier though. The female Indeedee just does its job better. Female Indeedee, it's gonna be S tier for me. Female Indeedee, Trick Room, Follow Me, Hill Post, Dazzling Gleam, Psychic does decent chip. Being a protect user, like a lot of people don't know, running protect on Indeedee is really good because a lot of people try to just remove Indeedee so they don't have to worry about terrain like coming back and forth, and just having protect can like waste your opponent's attacks into it, which is just a really good niche for it to have. Like being a good protect user is like really good in a format that's really offensive, and like carrying a Rocky Helmet, being able to redirect and stop like priority with psychic terrain is really good. Being able to remove Rillaboom's terrain is also like a good niche for it. Berserker, it's gonna be D tier for me. It gets fake out. I'm gonna be making the team around Berserker too because I think it's cool, like to activate like Godango, activate Scizor, stuff like that. So I'm putting it in D tier because it does get fake out, but it's better fake out users. Frostlass, F tier. Ice Scales can be good, but it doesn't have the typing to take advantage of that. Rillaboom, S tier. Right there with Indeedee. They both get fake out, but Rillaboom can use his fake out because he doesn't put up the terrain. Being able to like kind of like pseudo wall Urshifu on this water side is really good, and just being a reliable fake out user that can heal your opponent, your partners up, and combos really well with like leftovers on your different partners. It's a really good niche for it. Being able to U-turn out to get your terrain reset back is just also good and like deal damage. Inteleon, and when I returned to Pokemon back in Gen 8 after not playing for like about 10 years, Inteleon was the first starter I chose, so it also holds some dear to my heart. So I'm gonna put it right there at Pyroar. Just, they're really supposed to be F tier, but because they're dear to me, because it was the first starter that I had when I returned to Pokemon, is gets to that slot. Cinderace. I was just talking to Clover Bells on his video, and I told him that Cinderace is underrated. I think it's a C tier. I think that it fits on certain teams with like Chien-Pao, where if you want to use like that physical type attacker that's gonna deal a lot of damage with his fire type of stab and be able to one shot Flutter Mane, I think it's underexplored, and I think Cinderace can be really good, and I hope that it gets some results. So Clover Bell can redo his list and put Cinderace a little higher. So we'll see. Grimmsnarl is gonna be A tier for me. It's right there with like Mimikyu. It does its job well. Screens, fake out, scary face, fake tears, thunder wave. All that stuff is just really good. It makes for a good Pokemon with good typing, and it's not easy to remove because of its natural bulk plus its dark and fairy typing. It's a really good Pokemon. Flapple, F tier. Appleton, F tier along with Flapple. Hatchering, I'm going to say it fits on hard Trick Room teams. Similar to like these teams. It's the same, but it's good at what it does. I put it right next to Sylveon. It's really good on Trick Room teams. Helps set Trick Room up. If it had Expanding Force, it would be a lot better, but it doesn't, right? So they just kind of nerfed it. Gorgeous. It's F tier. Like singles with Shell Smash is good. This is not singles. What's this thing's name? This is a good Pokemon, but it's good when it's not good. It's good in the fact that Power Spot, boosts your teammates' attacks, whether they're physical or special. But it's bad because it takes up your Focus Sash slot. Because if you don't have Focus Sash, it gets completely wiped by any special attack, even if it's resist. It's completely wiped by that, right? So it just boosts your teammates' attack. I'm gonna put it in D tier though. It's not F tier. Ice Cube, I haven't seen anyone use it. I think it's F tier. I want to see. I saw on YouTube somebody posted a video using it. I don't remember who it was, but I do want to go watch and see if they figured out how to make this thing work. I'm gonna look it up later, but for now it's still F tier. Dragapult, don't sleep on Dragapult. Dragapult is a B tier for me. Dragapult does as well as being a physical, fast ghost type that can play next to Chien-Pao, and it does its role well. It's gonna deal damage. It just won the last regional season's regulation C, and it did that for a reason. It's a good Pokemon. It outspeeds Fluttermane when it's not on booster energy, and it does its job really well. So I like Dragapult. Urshifu, this is water. It's gonna be S tier. It's probably the best Pokemon in the format, right? And the Urshifu Dark also just going being able to go through Protect. They're both Urshifu Water is better. Urshifu Dark is still like good. Like they're both S tier. Like going through Protect and instant critting through like screens and not being able to be slowed down by anything but burns, and like also being slowed down by being KO'd with like Icy Wind and stuff like that. It's just these Pokemon are just so good, and you got a game plan for them. You're playing Glacier, underexplored, powerful Trick Room team, but it only fits on Trick Room teams, right? So it's gonna be like right around there with Glacier, with Sylveon. Spectrier is a little bit better than Glacier in this format because of its fast and it has a snowball potential. Being a snowball Pokemon is what its role is, to like clean games. It can play as a support, but I think right now the better set is the snowball one, so it doesn't roll well. Regieleki, oh my gosh, Reginald has fell off a cliff. Reginald used to be an S tier Pokemon in every format that it's been in since it's been introduced, and now it's back to like a B. It's finally fallen to a B tier. Why? Because Fluttermane and Iron Bundle just outspeed it and are able to just deal with it because of it being so frail and because of booster energy. If they ever have a format to where certain items are like banned and booster energy is banned, Regieleki is gonna shoot up to S, because then it's gonna be the fastest again, and it's gonna be able to just Icy Wind and just knock all those Pokemon, use its teammates to knock them out. Then you're gonna have to be running like Timid Alecki, Scarf Alecki to have like the fastest Alecki. Until then, I think it's gonna be in role B, and its role is just being a fast electric type attacker, and it still does that role well. It's just you kind of like gotta work harder to make it work. Regidrago has surpassed Regieleki. I think it's an A tier Pokemon. This thing, you put it on any team, as long as you have some type of speed control, it's gonna be really good, right? It's gonna hit you hard. It's gonna deal like a lot of damage. Fairies can't even stop it now in this gym because you have access to Earth Power to deal chip damage, as well as you can terrestrialize in the steel and get a steel type attack. And it's actually better than Regieleki right now, it's funny to say because it has never been better than Regieleki based off Sword and Shield. Weirdeer, I want to say, fits on Trick Room teams. It's an intimidate Trick Room user. It's kind of bulky. It does its job pretty well. Cleavor is going to be B. Cleavor is the type that it's going to break Sash. Its role is to break Sashes with Stone Axe and just be a Rocky Helmet user, a Choice Scarf user, and it's good at using both those items. It plays its role really well. Sneasler, its role is a fast fake out user that takes advantage of seeds to use its unburden ability, and its role is like be a fast physical type attacker. Similar to like Dragapult, it plays its role well. Enamorus, this Enamorus, I want to say it's gonna be C tier. Actually, I think it's B tier. It's like worse Fluttermane because of the speed, but it hits just as hard as Fluttermane, and it has a move that does more damage than Fluttermane's can. So hypothetically speaking, if you can hit your moves, you have like gravity up, then it's better. If it was able to get like its accuracy on Spring Tide Storm boost to 100 with Rain, then I would put it a little bit higher. But till then, I'll put it right there with Regieleki. It's still a good Pokemon. It's strong. Same with this Enamorus. This Enamorus really only works on Trick Room teams. So I think this one's a little bit... Actually, this one is kind of like... I want to say it does only work on Trick Room teams, but you can use it on your team is to help you deal with like Among Us and other Trick Room teams, right? So with that being said, I think it can be like right around here. Enamorus, both of them are still underexplored in my opinion. Overquill, same thing. Like these fits on Rain teams. I put it right here. Explosion stuff is cute. Basculegion. Now Basculegion male is powerful. This Pokemon's an A tier. Last Respects being, one of the best Swift Swim users ever. It's just really good. Being immune to fake out and normal type attacks is just really good for it. And being able to not be completely walled by things that wall water types like Gastrodon or like Rillaboom, and hitting them with Last Respects and getting boosted by your teammates getting knocked out is just really good. The female version, I want to say, is D tier, only for the fact that it is, kind of falls into like Lilligan. Like, just use the male version; it's stronger. You're gonna use this in the special variant, but the special variant doesn't hit as hard as the physical variant. So just use Basket Legion. Ursaluna's S tier. This Pokemon makes your opponent have to figure out ways to play around Trick Room, right? This thing in Trick Room, when it's Guts boosted, Facade is just powerful. Like, it's hard to deal with. Ground normal typing is really good. Meowscarada, underplayed, underexplored in this format. But like I said, it's also one of those Pokemon where you just use Fake Out plus, not Fake Out, Trick Room plus Focus Sash. And you just use Flutter Mane if you're going to go for that. So I think it's right there with Gengar, like pretty much the same thing. Skeledirge, Unaware. Just use Dondozo without testing gear if you want to go for Unaware. I think it's D tier. Classic Evolve, Fighting, Water, you already know, it's D tier. Literally just use Urshifu, right? You can go through Protect, you're faster, you hit harder, you don't have to wait to be boosted up. Oinkalong, F tier, not much to talk about. Is this the Dunsparce? I believe this is the Dunsparce. I'm gonna put this in D tier. It has a couple strategies that you can use, but I still think it's a D tier Pokemon. Actually, Spideup's S tier. Are you the best Pokemon in the game? Or are you the worst Pokemon in the game? Are you worse than Delibird? I don't know. Leave a comment below. Is Spideup's the best Pokemon in the game and the worst Pokemon? It's the first Pokemon ever in the game that's actually the best Pokemon and the worst Pokemon, right? And the best Pokemon being a meme. It's really bad, man. Just leave it in F tier. All right. So Rapska, it's unique. It fits on Trick Room teams. It can revive things. I think it's good. I think it's underplayed. Only one other Pokemon can do what it does, and that's Palmont. But Palmont does it on the fast side. It does it on the slow side. So I think it's pretty good. Low kicks, first impression. I think it's D tier. It's similar to like Slitherwing. It's a dark type physical attacker, but it's so many physical dark type attackers right now. Just use Urshifu Dark. It's a wannabe. Sand Sweeper, Houndstone. It's a new shiny new toy, but the old toy Lycanroc is better than it, so it's D tier too. I put it with my D tier Weathermons. Spatra, cheesy. It fits on one team, and that's the team with Sandy Shocks. So I'll go ahead and I'll come back to Sandy Shocks. Frigoraph, it's just like Serena and Bruxus, but it's S tier. This Pokemon blocking priority, just like these two, it just does it so much better because it's bulkier and it's a special attacker. You don't need to invest in special attack for it to be dealing decent shit with Psychic, and it loves to Terra and the Fairy and get stabbed on Dazzling Gleam. It's really good. Like, it's a really good Pokemon. It's just like these. I kind of want to move these up a little more because being able to stop, Dragonite Chien-Pao from doing what they want to do, I feel like it's value, right? That's really good value. So I'll put them there, but Frigoraph is going to be S tier for me. Wook Trio. Wow, like these four Pokemon, like I guess your little Seviper's a little bit better. Like like these, like, why did they do this to you all? Like, why do you just get one shot by everything that doesn't have any investment? Like, that's just crazy. Like, there are pre-evolved evolutions that can one shot you, and that's just not good. Dozo, underplayed, S tier. If we're gonna put Dozo S tier, we gotta put Tessagiri S tier because it's his partner, right? Don't sleep on them. They are rising again. They will be back. They're not going nowhere. Valencia, I don't remember this thing's name. It's an F tier though. It's just like SQ is F tier. Palafin, boy, have you fall from grace. I'm interested to see if someone can find decent team to build this around. I do think it's T tier because it fits on one type of team, and that team is probably like rain teams or balanced teams that like to use You can still use Palafin with Arcanine and Amoonguss and still win because that Firewater Grass score is strong, right? So I kind of put it there with Colossal. I mean, right with Colossal. Put it right here. It can still be good, but if you just use Urshifu, Scovillain. It's gonna go right here with my other Weather Setters. Just use the other Chlorophyll users. Belly Bolt, D tier. A Sponge to soak up attacks and hit back harder. There's a lot of Pokemon that do that role better. It's gonna be D tier for me. Revroom, D tier. Good typing, just not the format. Actually, Revroom is gonna be C tier for me. The typing is really good. It fits on teams that need like an Amoonguss counter and need like something, to hit Flutter Mane. It can do that. So it can do that. Earthworm, haven't seen any results with it. I know it can be good, so I'll put it in C tier as well. It's going to fit on those teams that can utilize its ability to the best. Mousehold, really good follow meter user. It's B tier. It definitely is a role player. Plays his role really well. Encore, Thunderwave, Population Bombs, Super Fang. It's just a really good support Pokemon. It does its job well. It's a Titan. Same with my other lower D weather sweepers. Excalibur, slept on, underused, underplayed. It is a proven winner, but not in this format, right? So I'm gonna put it in B. Being a bulky ice type to play on ice snow teams, it'll always be a good niche for it because it can pick up a lot of KOs when people are expecting it to not be as good. So it's right around Regieleki. This Pokemon. The Regenerator plus Shedtail idea is cool, but I mean, is it really? It's not as good as Earthworm, so I'm putting it in D tier because just use Earthworm with that ability is a bit better. Palmont, hey Palmont, you're D tier. I don't think you're better than Raichu. Fake out electric type user, I think Raichu's better, even though you have the fighting typing. I still think Raichu's better. Just being one shot by Flutter Mane is not good. This thing before in Series 1, this Pokemon Kilowattrel was really good, but now we're a long ways away from that, and it's falling off a cliff. There's just so many Tailwind users that does its job better. I've never seen anyone use this Pokemon. I know it can be good with like Sucker Punch, but then just if you want to use Sucker Punch on a Dark type attacker, physical attacker, just use Urshifu, right? It just does its job better. So I don't know much about this Pokemon though, so I'll put it in here. I know it gets the Rocky payload, so it gets like 3 stabs, kind of like Delmai. It's like the new Delmais, right? I don't know how good it is though. Squawkabilly, put it right here. It's Intimidator. It's worse than Staraptor. It might be F tier, to be honest. Flamingo, I've lost to this Pokemon more times than I should have, with it being as bad as I think it is, and losing to it because I just didn't like knowing what it's gonna do, but just not preparing myself in that match to stop it makes this thing good. It fits on those teams that want to use like its ability to co-star, like boosting up their partners and like sacrificing like like a Tatsugiri or something like that in order to get it in. It can work like that. So and that I'll put it in C tier because Feint plus Wide Guard and fighting and flying coverage is really good. This Crab is not good. It's a lot of the Pokemon that I don't see that often. I'm starting to forget their names. I promise I'm gonna do better. Remember their names. I don't see them anymore, and they're kind of relatively new. So their names slip my mind, but I know this Pokemon's not good. Garganical, however you want to pronounce it. Fits on stall teams. It does its job well. Still annoying. Still got to deal with it. Salt Cure Wide Guard. Still a good set. Glamora, same thing with Garganical. Fits on teams, stall teams. You got to deal with it. Hitting its ability just feels really bad. Defy Eye, put it right there next to Slay King. This Prankster, its doodle ability, not ability signature move is pretty cool. Darkspawn, put it in D tier. It's not that good right now. The guard dog from the this Pokemon was really cool in the story of Scarlet and Violet, but in play, the guard dog ability is just not as good as like Defiant, but it has some type of niche, so I put it in D. Now Brambleghast has moved up to C tier to me. I thought it was F tier Pokemon, but it fits on those teams that want to have counters into wind type moves. It fits on Tornadus team, so it's good at what it does. Gholdengo, still an S tier Pokemon. Being just completely walling Among Us, being able to one hit KO Fluttermane, being immune to Fake Out, and having a spread move that's Steel type, that's base 120. Gholdengo's just always going to be a good Pokemon, man. And even when Zacian comes, it's going to be a good answer into Zacian because it hits Zacian good with Shadow Ball and Make It Rain. And also Zacian can't hit it with Play Rough, Sacred Sword, or a Resist the Behemoth Blade. So it's going to be a really good answer into Zacian. Great Tusk has fell off a cliff. It's D tier right now. It's probably top of D tier. But if you want to use like a fighting type, use Urshifu. If you want to use a ground type, use Landorus. Use Ursaluna. Brute Bonnet has actually become better in this format than it was in previous. It fits on those teams that need, sun teams that need, redirection. And like it plays like an Among Us, but a little more offensive. So it does well on the sun team. So I put it right there like around Charizard. I'm gonna put you guys. I don't want to put you in F, so I just won't rank you because you're not legal. So if you're not legal, I'm not gonna rank you. I'm just gonna leave you down there. Sandy Shocks, it's gonna go next to Espatra. It works on that one team that does that little weird gravity plus hypnosis strategy. It's kind of annoying, but it works, so it go there. Screamtail fell off. It does its role well though. What it's supposed to do, it's supposed to be like one of the best support Pokemon ever. It gets all the support tools that it needs, and with booster energy like this Encore Disable set is nasty. So it plays its role well as being a support Pokemon, but it's fell off from what it used to be. Fluttermane, S tier, second best Pokemon, probably behind Urshifu, right? It's really good. It does its job. It's actually debatable about this and another Pokemon I'm going to put in S tier, but Fluttermane, it's not much to say about it. We already know it's been the most usage since it came out. Slitherwing's better than people think, but it's still going to be D tier. It's a fighting type bug. It's right there with Great Touch right now. It can work on the right team. Roaring Moon, it's going to be C tier. Actually, for Roaring Moon's B tier. It's too good to put it in B tier. It's like right there at best caliber. It can win you games. Just being 4 times weak to Fluttermane is not good, but it's always going to want to Terra, right? And it can use booster energy, so that also helps it. It is a bit better than, C tier in my opinion. It doesn't just fit on one team. Iron Treads. It's a Paradox Pokemon, so I guess I'll put it in D. Just use Great Tusk, right? And Great Tusk is like top of D, so actually, like, it's a Steel type user. Just use Heatran, use Gholdengo. It's just much better Steel types, right? Iron Moth, just use Volcarona, so it's D tier. I'll put it right there with Slitherwing. Iron Hands, S tier Pokemon. It's right up there with Rillaboom. Like, choose your Fake Out user. Do you want to use Rillaboom? Do you want to use Iron Hands? They're both good. They're both consistent. They're both bulky. They're both reliable. They're both physical attackers. They both can play in and out of Trick Room. They're both good, and they both help you deal with Fluttermane, and they both carry Assault Vest, so they're pretty similar in those roles, and they both can deal with Urshifu. Iron Jugulis fell off. I do think it's a C tier though. It fits on certain teams that need it. It is still better than these in my opinion because of the Tailwind and Snarl set. It can be good. Iron Thorns, it's not good. It might be the only F tier, but I don't want to put a Paradox F tier, so I'll put it right next to Treads. Iron Bundle, it's fell off from S tier, but it's still an A tier Pokemon. It does the Regieleki thing, but better. And just being able to hit the Urshifu water is just really good for it. Being able to hit like Dragonite, being able to deal with Rillaboom, it's just really good for it. It is walled by Assault Vest Iron Hands, which is bad for it. But it can't hit a lot of these. Hit Heatran, Force of the Terror, his Ursaluna. It can do pretty well into a lot of good Pokemon. I do think it's still an A tier Pokemon. Iron Valiant, my newest video that'll be coming out tomorrow is going to be featuring Iron Valiant. This Pokemon is crazy good, underrated, and just don't sleep on this Pokemon, all right? I'm going to put it in B tier because what I'm going to show you all that it can play its role, it does its role really well. So we'll put Iron Valiant in B tier for now, right next to Spec tier. Ting-Lu. Ting-Lu is also slept on. It's better than people think it is. It just doesn't have the usage right now. But I think it plays its role well. It neutralizes special attackers. And when the restricted format comes out, we're going to really see Ting. I've been saying this since Ting-Lu came, that its best format is going to be a restricted format. Because it's going to help, mitigate some of the damage coming from these restricted mons. This and Wo-Chien. Right? But more so of this because it's not as weak to like common things like Wo-Chien is, right? But just being able to go Terra Grass, Terra Water, and sit in front of Kyogre, Choice Specs Water Terra Kyogre, is going to be good for Ting-Lu, right? And even then, you're still going to take like 40%. But just think about that. You're taking 40% while you're Water Terra from a Choice Specs Water Terra Kyogre. That's saying a lot, right? Chien-Pao. It's freaking S tier, man. Actually, I think it might be better than Flutter Mane. To be honest, right now, it just what it does for the format. It's so good right now, man. It is very hard to play around. It's always Focus Sash, and the Focus Sash. It's one of the best users of Focus Sash ever since like Calyrex Shadow. Calyrex Shadow was also one of the best Focus Sash users. Regieleki was a really good Focus Sash user. It's one of those Pokemon that just completely abuses the Focus Sash, and it's hard to deal with because of the Focus Sash. You're almost always relieved whenever you knock it out and you don't have to deal with a Focus Sash. Wo-Chien's underexplored. I think it plays its role well. It does what it's supposed to do. It is not as good as Ting-Lu, but it's going to be mitigating those physical attackers, and it's a really good set. Chi-Yu is going to be A tier. Probably right up there with Landers. Probably top of A tier. Like Chi-Yu dropping special defense. I don't think it's A tier. I think that it's too weak to physical attacks, and it's not the fastest. Kind of hinders it. But its Choice Scarf and Choice Specs set is just really good for it. The Safety Goggles Nasty Plot set on Balance Team is really good as well. Tinkaton underexplored, but it's just it's gonna be a D tier for me. I'm gonna put it right there next to Zoroark. It is unique in the fake out to be able to fake out past Farigiraf. Anything's ability with the Mold Breaker is kind of good for it. I think it can be better if it's just underexplored, but for now I'll leave it in D. Armarouge is the A tier Pokemon. It fell down to C in my opinion on Regulation C. It only fit on Trick Room. But now it's a great enabler of Trick Room, right? It's kind of right there with Iron Bundle. It's a really good Pokemon. Expanding Force spam is still strong. And Indeedee is partner as an S tier support Pokemon, right? Which is not that many of those. Armarouge is just a really good Pokemon next to Indeedee. Toadscrew. Just use Among Us, man, if you want to go for slow Spore. Like, this is even slower Spore than Among Us because of its ability. But the fact that, it's kind of like this. Like, it ignores, like, other abilities and stuff like that when it using a Spore move. But it's not that good. Cerulege has fallen off as well. Cerulege used to be a really good Pokemon. It's unfortunate, how far from grace this fell. It doesn't even fit on certain teams. It's better ghost type, so it's D tier for me. All right, King Gambit also falling off a cliff. I think it fits on certain teams. It is my second favorite Pokemon overall, but I want to be realistic, and I'm going to put it, it's right around there with Cinderace in my opinion. Clodsire, Aaron Zhang also just showcased this Pokemon that's been rising in usage. It fits on certain teams. I'm actually gonna. I don't want to put it in B because it does have a role, But its role only fits on teams that need like a hard Urshifu counter, right? Other than that, you're not really gonna be using. So I'm gonna put it in B tier, like next to Rangaroo. And now, finally, last but least, Annihilate. Annihilate is another A tier Pokemon. I think it's right up there. To be honest, I think it might be better than Landorus. This thing with Rage Fist and Bulk Up is just like one of the best uses of Bulk Up ever with Drain Punch. And we've seen Bulk Up Drain Punch before with like Urshifu and other fighting type attacks and other formats. But it's the best user of the Bulk Up Drain Punch. It just takes it to another level. It's immune to Fake Out, immune to normal moves, immune to fighting moves, has ghost coverage, has perfect coverage to hit everything that its other type can't. And it's just a really good Pokemon in my opinion. Actually, it might be the best in HT. I think it's better than Chi-Yu. So this is going to be my list. If you guys agree with it, let me know with a comment below. Leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and just let me know if there's anything that you would change. If you like the way I set these tiers up, if you would move anything from a lower tier or higher, or if you would drop anything from a higher tier to a lower tier. Let me know. I think, I did a pretty good job on my tier list. It is subject to my opinion and it's scheduled to change. And like I said, I'm going to do a part 2 to this with just using the viable Pokemon. So a lot of these will be cut out and it'll just be the viable ones. But I will do that one before Worlds weekend just as a pre-Worlds, setup, right? Or actually, I might do it after Worlds. I think that's a little bit too soon. So I'll probably do the viable one either right before Worlds or after Worlds. I haven't decided yet, but we'll do that. But like I said, leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I will catch you guys in the next one. All right, deuces.